Today we'll today we'll see about the classification of glaucoma and its definition. How will you define glaucoma? Glaucoma is not a single disease process, but a group of disorder characterized by a progressive optic neuropathy resulting in a characteristic appearance of the optic disc and a specific pattern of irreversible visual field defects that are associated frequently but not invariably with raised intraocular pressure. What do you mean by raised intraocular pressure? We have seen that not only raised intraocular pressure above the normal level will labeled as a glaucoma, it may be a hypertension of the eye if there are no optic disc changes and visual field changes. And this condition is called as ocular hypertension. In normotensive glaucoma or low tension glaucoma, even if the intraocular pressure is at a normal level or it is below normal level, there are optic disc changes and field defects are there. So, glaucoma is a disorder which consists of raised intraocular pressure. What is the raised intraocular pressure? It is that intraocular pressure with which physiology and anatomy cannot withstand of that of the eye for that particular level of intraocular pressure, along with optic disc changes and field defects. Consequently, the term ocular hypertension is used for cases having constantly raised IOP without any associated glaucomatous damage. Normal or low tension glaucoma is suggested for the typical cupping of the disc and or visual field defects associated with normal or low intraocular pressure. How will you classify glaucoma? Glaucoma can be classified. It is clinico-etiologically classified as a congenital and developmental glaucoma, primary adult glaucoma, and secondary glaucoma. Congenital and development glaucomas are primary congenital glaucoma, means without associated anomalies. Second is developmental glaucoma with associated anomalies. The primary adult glaucomas again can be classified as primary open angle glaucomas, that is POAG, primary angle closure glaucoma, that is PACG, or primary mixed mechanism glaucoma. The secondary glaucoma again further classified as a secondary open angle glaucoma and secondary angle closure glaucoma. We'll see about the pathogenesis of glaucomatous ocular damage. As mentioned in definition, all glaucomas are characterized by a progressive optic neuropathy. Progressive optic neuropathy results from the death of retinal ganglion cells in a typical pattern which results in characteristic optic disc appearance and specific visual field defects. Retinal ganglion cell death is initiated when some pathologic event blocks the transport of growth factors, that are neurotrophins, from the brain to retinal ganglion cells. The blockage of these neurotrophins initiate a damaging cascade and the cell is unable to maintain its normal function. The retinal ganglion cells, losing their ability to maintain normal function, undergo apoptosis and also trigger apoptosis of adjacent cells. Apoptosis is a genetically controlled cell suicide program whereby irreversibly damaged cells die and are subsequently engulfed by neighboring cells without eliciting any inflammatory response. Retinal ganglion cell death is of course associated with loss of retinal nerve fibers. As the loss of nerve fibers extends beyond the normal physiological overlap of functional zones, the characteristic optic disc changes and specific visual field defects become apparent over the time. Etiological factors. One is primary insult and secondary insults. In primary insults, raised intraocular pressure mechanical theory. Raised intraocular pressure causes mechanical stretch on the lamina cribrosa, leading to axonal deformation and ischemia by altering capillary blood flow. As a result of this, neurotrophins, that are growth factors, are not able to reach the retinal ganglion cell bodies in sufficient amount needed for their survival. Then pressure independent factor, that is vascular insufficiency theory. Factors affecting vascular perfusion of optic nerve head in the absence of raised intraocular pressure have been implicated in the glaucomatous optic neuropathy in patients with normal tension glaucoma, that is NTG. However, these may be the additional factors in cases of raised IOP as well. These factors include 1. Failure of autoregulatory mechanism of blood flow. Second, vasospasm, vasospastic the NTG disorder like migrainous headache and Raynaud's phenomena. Third, systemic hypotension, particularly nocturnal dips. And fourth, other factors such as acute blood loss and abnormal coagulability profile have also been associated with NTG. Secondary insults, that is excitotoxicity theory. Toxic factors such as glutamate, excitatory toxins, oxygen-free radicals, or nitric oxide, which are released when retinal ganglion cells undergo death due to primary insult. Here you can see the photograph of congenital glaucoma, that is ophthalmos. The eyes are looking like a bull's eye, so the condition is known as ophthalmos. Today we'll talk about the congenital glaucomas. Congenital glaucoma, also known as ophthalmos, also known as hydrophthalmos. Ophthalmos, eye looking like a bull's eye. Hydrophthalmos, because of collection of aqueous humor excessive in the eye. and that's why intraocular pressure increase, that is hydrophthalmus or congenital glaucoma. These are the terminologies of the congenital glaucomas. The congenital glaucomas are a group of diverse disorders in which abnormal high intraocular pressure results due to developmental abnormalities of the angle of anterior chamber obstructing the drainage of aqueous humor. Sometimes glaucoma may not occur until several years after birth, therefore the term developmental glaucoma is preferred to describe such condition. Definition: any abnormal increase in intraocular pressure during the first year of life will cause dilatation of the wall of the globe and especially of the cornea. The result is a characteristic abnormally large eye, ophthalmos, bull-like eyes with a progressive increase in corneal diameter, hydrophthalmos or hydrophthalmia. Types: primary developmental oblique congenital glaucoma and developmental glaucoma with associated ocular abnormalities or anomalies. True congenital glaucoma. IOP raised during intrauterine life and child is born with ocular enlargement. It is having 40% chances of a congenital glaucoma with eyes show enlargement. Second is infantile glaucoma, manifests prior to the child's third birthday. 50% cases are infantile glaucoma. Juvenile glaucoma, 10%. Pressure rise between third year of the life to 16 years of the life. Prevalence and genetic pattern. Most of the cases are sporadic. 10% autosomal recessive inheritance with incomplete penetrance. Several genes have been implicated prominently. CYP1B1. 65% of cases shown in the boys. Generally bilateral condition in about 70% cases. Maybe asymmetric, and one child in 10,000 birds are involved. Pathogenesis. The important pathogenesis of congenital glaucoma is maldevelopment of trabeculum including the iridotrabecular junction and known as trabeculodysgenesis, causing impaired aqueous outflow leading to raised intraocular pressure. Maybe embryonic mesodermal tissue in the form of thin transparent membrane seen in the angle known as Barkan's membrane also cause raised intraocular pressure because impaired aqueous outflow. Primary congenital glaucoma, trabeculogenesis is not associated with any other major ocular anomalies. Clinically, trabeculodysgenesis is characterized by absence of the angle recess, with iris having a flat or concave direct insertion into the surface of trabeculum. Flat iris insertion is more common than a concave iris insertion. In it, the iris inserts flatly and abruptly into the thickened trabeculum, either at or anterior to scleral spur more often, or posterior to scleral spur. It is often possible to visualize a portion of ciliary body and scleral spur. Concave iris insertion is less common. In it, superficial iris tissue sweeps over the iridotrabecular junction and the trabeculum, and thus obscure the scleral spur and ciliary body. The presentation of congenital glaucoma. The baby may present with watering of the eyes, that should be differentiated from epiphora, that caused by congenital nasolacrimal duct obstruction. Photophobia or blepharospasm. Classical signs: photophobia, epiphora, corneal opacification, unilateral or bilateral enlargement of the cornea, irritable, poor eaters, and rub their eyes repeatedly with raised intraocular pressure. Important clinical features: one is photophobia, blepharospasm, lacrimation, and eye rubbing often occur together, caused by irritation of corneal nerves due to stretching of the cornea. Corneal signs include its edema, enlargement, and Descemet's break. Corneal edema, initially epithelial and later it becomes stromal and may give rise to the permanent opacities in the cornea. Corneal enlargement, normally it is due to stretching of the eyeball due to increased intraocular pressure. Normal infant corneal measures is near about 10.5 millimeter. A diameter of more than 13 millimeter confirms enlargement. The prognosis is usually poor in the infants with corneal diameter of more than 16 millimeter. Means normal cornea is 10.5 millimeter at that time of birth, and if it is 13, it is confirmed that patient is having congenital glaucoma. The tears and breaks in Descemet's membrane, known as haphstria. These occur because of Descemet membrane is less elastic than the corneal stroma, and the tears are usually peripheral and concentric with the limbus. These are known as haphstria. They are pathognomic sign of congenital glaucoma. These are the breaks and tears in Descemet's membrane due to stretching of the eyeball secondary to raised intraocular pressure. Sclera, it becomes thin and appears blue due to underlying uveal tissue. Anterior chamber becomes deep because of stretching of zonules, and so lens go backward and entry chamber is deep. Iris may show iridodonesis and atrophic patches in late stages. Lens become flat due to stretching of zonules and may even subluxate. Optic disc changes may show variable cupping and atrophy, especially after third year. IOP is raised, which is neither marked nor acute. Axial myopia may occur because of increase in axial length, which may give rise to anisometropic amblyopia. These are some photographs. You can see the photophobia and blepharospasm. Then one can see the corneal haze, marked corneal edema. Ophthalmos, a large eye as a result of stretching due to elevated IOP prior to the age of 3 years. Thin sclera, blue due to increased visualization of the underlying uvea, and complications are myopia, lens subluxation, Habstria. Here you can see the picture of Habstria. These are the breaks and or tears in the Descemet's membrane due to stretching of the cornea.